DOSH, ERP facilities, permit to work. I'm sure you've come across these terms if you work in the construction industry. But what exactly do they mean in this course? Let's explore them together. Approved Professional Engineer or PE Design is an approved PE design submitted by a professional engineer with practicing certificate, as per the Registration of Engineers Act 1967, amended in 2015. Construction stage refers to the start of a physical construction work at the site, which takes place after site mobilization. Designated Person or DP. We hear this a lot, but do you know how this term came about? DP is defined in factories and machinery, building operations and works of engineering construction, in short, BOWAC, Safety Regulations 1986. And it refers to a competent person appointed by an employer to carry out any supervision or inspection, or to perform any task or duty prescribed by BOWAC Regulations 1986. Now, I'm sure you know what documents mean, but for the purpose of SHASSIC, documents refer to the communication of information, evidence of conformity, knowledge sharing, dissemination and preservation of an organization's experience through mediums like paper, magnetic, electronic, photograph, or master sample, or a combination. DOSH. You know what it stands for? OSHKOSH. Department of Occupational Safety and Health, or in Malay, Jabatan Keselamatan dan Kesihatan Pekerjaan JKKP, is an agency under the Ministry of Human Resources, Malaysia. What about emergency response and preparedness or ERP facilities? Heard this term before? This term refers to any emergency preparedness facilities or provisions, which include first aid provision, firefighting provision, and incident and accident reporting provision. Hazard. Hazard refers to the source with the potential to cause injury and ill health. Hazard can also include sources with the potential to cause harm or hazardous situations or circumstances with the potential for exposure leading to injury and ill health. Related to this term is hazardous activities. Hazardous activities are the situations or activities that have high potential risk that can cause injury, death, or serious damage to properties, such as working at height, lifting exercises, works associated with temporary works, working at confined areas, and so on. Hazard identification. The identification of undesired events that lead to the materialization of the hazard and the mechanism by which those undesired events could occur. This one. Do you know what it is? Hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control, HIRAC, or hazard identification, risk assessment and determining controls. Okay, it's a risk management process associated with identifying hazards which may cause harm, assessing the risk, putting in place control measures, and reviewing the outcomes through risk monitoring. Phew! Did you realize we just did the first 10 definitions? It's like a marathon, huh? Ready for more? Come on, I know you can do it. Haha, here's an easy one. Health is a state of being free from illness or injury. High-risk activities are activities determined by the SHASSIC assessor as potential and/or high risk towards the safety and health of workers. Remember we learned about high-risk activities in Part 1? For workplace inspection, the SHASSIC assessor will select the top 3 high-risk activities according to the hierarchy of risk. So, in a SHASSIC assessment, the term high-risk activities refer to the selected high-risk activities. Oops! Illumination, please! That's better. Illumination refers to provisions that are made to secure and maintain sufficient and suitable lighting, whether natural or artificial, at the work vicinity in accordance to FMA Act 1967, Section 22/FM SHW Regulations 1970, Regulation 29. Managerial personnel. For the purpose of SHASSIC, managerial personnel are those in the managerial position of the construction process at the construction site, such as project manager, construction manager, site agent, and project engineer. Do you recall that in Part 1 we talked about randomly selecting personnel from 3 categories for personnel interview? Managerial personnel are the project director, project manager, construction manager, site agent, project engineer, and quantity surveyor. Occupational Health and Safety, OH&S, or Occupational Safety and Health, OSH. For the purpose of SHASSIC, these terms have the same meaning, so you might see them being used interchangeably. Project OSH Policy. This policy embodies the overall intentions and direction of an organization related to its OSH performance, as formally expressed by top management. We check this document as part of our document check. Permit to Work, or PTW, is a documented permission derived by the company to meet its specific OSH needs. It aims to ensure proper OSH planning and consideration is given to a particular work. Personal protective equipment, or commonly called PPE, or personal protective clothing and appliances, as defined in FMA 1967, provision and maintenance are mandatory to be provided for workers who are exposed to injurious substances which are liable to cause bodily injury. PPE shall include but not limited to the following: safety hard hat, safety helmet, safety footwear, hand protection, hand gloves, eye protection such as safety glasses or goggles, fall arresters, self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA, face shield, hearing protection, example earplugs, earmuffs, protective clothing, especially for chemical hazards, respirator, dust mask, safety vest. Do you wear these? Be sure you have the right PPE on when you work at the construction site, even if you're there as an assessor in the future, okay? Record. That's called a broken record. A record is simply a document stating results achieved or providing evidence of activities performed. Risk is defined as a combination of the likelihood of an occurrence of a hazardous event with specified period or in specified circumstances and the severity of injury or damage to the health of people, property, environment, or any combination of these caused by the event. In simple words, the possibility of harm, death, or damage to property. Did you realize we just did another 10 definitions? Yeah, there's more to go. Here we go again. Safe system of work. A safe system of work is a formal procedure which results from the systematic examination of a task in order to identify all hazards. It defines safe methods to ensure that hazards are eliminated or risk minimized. Have you come across this term before? Safe Work Procedure, SWP, or Safe Work Instruction, SWI, or Safe Operating Procedure, SOP. This term refers to risk management tools, or a working risk control document developed to describe the safest and most efficient way to perform certain work. The document is used as a guide when completing the work at the site. This is one of the many documents that we view as part of document check. Safety, a word that we see all the time in SHASSIC. It's defined as the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. Safety and Health Committee, or SHC. This is a very important committee to know, so you better know what it is. The Safety and Health Committee is established under Section 30 of OSHA 1994. The committee consists of a chairman, a secretary, representatives of the employer, and representatives of employees. The chairman shall be an employer of his authorized manager, and the secretary shall be the person who is employed as a safety and health officer at the place of work. Safety and Health Officer, SHO. This is a very important person at the site. If the project is worth 20 million ringgit or more, it has to have SHO. The Safety and Health Officer is the person who is registered as Safety and Health Officer with DOSH in pursuant to Section 29, Subsection 3 in Act 514 OSHA 1994. SHASSIC. You must be kidding me if by now you don't know what this stands for. SHASSIC is the acronym for Safety and Health Assessment System in Construction. Site Safety Supervisors, SSS. Do you know this guy? The Site Safety Supervisor is the person who is competent to perform the duties specified in Regulations 25 of Factories and Machinery, Building Operations and Works of Engineering Construction, BOAC, Safety Regulations, 1986. This is one of the must-have people at the site when you perform workplace inspection. Supervisory. For the purpose of SHASSIC, supervisory personnel includes representatives from main contractors, subcontractors, and designated person or DP. Remember in video 1 we talked about randomly selecting personnel from 3 categories for personnel interview? Supervisory personnel includes the site supervisor, designated person or DP, OSH committee members, safety and health officer, and site safety supervisor. Welfare is a statutory procedure designed to promote the basic physical and material well-being of workers in need. Working at height. For the purpose of SHASSIC, working at height means work in any place where, if there were no precautions in place, a person could fall from a height of at least 2 meters. Whoa, that was a long list of terms and definitions. But we're not done yet. No, seriously. Just a few more to go, I promise. Working personnel or workers. For the purpose of SHASSIC, workers or working personnel are the people carrying out work at site. It can be divided into skilled and non-skilled workers. Skilled workers mean persons possessing the accepted level of skill as determined by CIDB. From Part 1, we learned that we need to select workers from 3 categories to conduct personnel interviews. For Category C, working personnel, we'll randomly select 9 persons, preferably 3 from each high-risk construction work activities that we've identified according to the hierarchy of high-risk activities. Workplace or working space is any physical location in which work-related activities are performed under the construction contract. Work amenities refer to facilities provided for the welfare or personal hygiene needs of employees. They include toilets, restrooms, shelter sheds, seating, dining rooms, change rooms, drinking water, lockers, first aid box, first aid room, and washing facilities. Work of construction activities is as defined in the latest Construction Industry Development Board Act 520. Ventilation, as stated in Section 22 of the Factories and Machinery Act 1967. Natural or mechanical, adequate ventilation must be provided by circulation of fresh air and rendering harmless gases, fumes, dust, or other impurities that may affect health in the course of work conducted. This is one of the items that we assess during workplace inspection. So there you are, the list of terms and definitions that you must know. With that, we're done with Part 2. We have 4 more parts to cover in this series. Feel free to replay this video or read from the CIS at your own pace. When you're ready, open the next part of the series and I'll see you there.